Thank you to all the members for supporting my channel. You know, for a game that's 3 years old, I hardly ever hear anybody talking about some things in Genshin that are pretty rare. I mean, just think about it. For every other game that's been out for any meaningful period of time, there's always a collective group of people that are going to thirst after some of the hardest items to obtain in the game. And yet, for Genshin, I don't really see any of that. Hell, I don't even see anybody documenting the rarest things in the game. As a matter of fact, the other day I looked up what are some of the rarest items in Genshin, and the misinformation around it is genuinely baffling. So today, I'm going to document some of those things myself. We are currently a little bit over 3 years into Genshin's lifespan, and now finally we will have a definitive list for you to point at and show all of your friends if you have some of these rare trinkets. As for why I'm able to speak so fluently on my matter and so much more dominantly than everybody else is because I've been playing the game since day one and I understand what is and what is not rare. Of course, that means we need to set up a few rules, and I feel like the first rule should be pretty obvious. No gacha mechanics. Yeah, little Billy, it's really cool that Eula hasn't rerun in over a year, therefore nobody's been able to get her, but the fact of the matter is, she will return one day. On top of that, artifact stats don't count. I don't give a damn if you have the top percentage of Crimson Witch of Flames artifact set and you think you're special. It doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, I'm sure there's a ton of people that can get it, and it's still possible to get it now. However, things that aren't expressly locked behind a gacha system are allowed. For example, name cards. I can bring those up because there's no % chance of getting them. There's a confirmed way in order to get every single one of them. With that all being said, I think we should go ahead and get one of the most obvious ones out of the way. We'll start with the rarest weapon. The rarest weapon in Genshin is a little dinky sword that you've probably heard of either in whispers or in rumor legends, known as the Festering Desire. I'm sure some of you out there are confused as to why I would bring up the sword. You're probably saying things like,
Actually, the best sword and the rarest one in Genshin Impact is the Black Iron Sword.
But that's just not true. The reason why the black sword is not considered a rare weapon is because the fact of the matter is anybody can easily get the sword. Yeah, sure, there's only one of them in the game, but if everybody can go talk to one fuck-off merchant and get it, then it's not really rare now, is it? You see, the Festering Desire only came out one time in version 1.2 in the event Chalk Prince and the Dragon. In this event, you were able to do a special character quest with Albedo where he would have you drink a potion, you would drink it, you wouldn't catch on fire, and he would tell you that you're ready to sword, in which case he would reveal it to you. At which point you need to go on a series of trials with the sword in hand to harness its power, make it even more powerful, and over the course of the event, the sword would eventually reach refinement rank 5, where Albedo comments on how amazingly powerful the blade is, and how he's just gonna let you keep it. What's really interesting about this quest is chalk bits and remnants of it remain inside the game to this day. You can still do Albedo's very first quest, and it'll be the same all the way up until the part where you drink the potion, at which case, instead of nothing happening, you just catch on fire and Albedo has you run errands for him instead. But for those of you that played in version 1.2, congratulations, you have the rarest weapon in Genshin. If you have it R5, it's even rarer. Now for those of you wondering how long it's been out for, oh you know, 2.8 years. Alright, now what about name cards? You want to know what the rarest name card in Genshin Impact is? Well, you see, there's a very obvious answer to this one, but I'm not going to be a cheap little scumbag. We'll go a little bit deeper than that. The rarest name card in Genshin Impact currently is the very first Battle Pass name card you got for the $20 Battle Pass. The name card goes by the name Traveler's Notes Catch the Wind, and its description says, for every journey, the hardest part is coming up with the beginning. Technically, this is the rarest item in all of Genshin. If you have this, your account is primo rare, because this item was only available for a higher tier of a Battle Pass that most people didn't buy, back when the player count numbers were at an all-time low, and unlike every other item on this list, it literally will never come back, because at the end of the day, there is a chance the Festering Desire may return, as for other things on the list. But that's lame. I don't want to talk about Battle Pass rarities, so let's talk about another name card that's also very rare that a lot of you may or may not have. It's actually one you can still earn to this day, which is the addendum to the rule I named earlier. This name card goes by the name A Hero's Journey, and it is unlocked from completing all the achievements found within the Hero's Journey quest log. A lot of the things in here aren't actually that hard to do. For example, get 5 weapons to phase 6, etc. You know, get some characters to friendship level 20. It's not really that hard. But there's one in here that is just a massive time sink. Collect 800 rewards from ley line blossoms found throughout the world. Oh my god. Let's do some math real quick. 800 ley lines at 20 resin per piece, assuming you're not condensing your resin and you're doing this the most optimal way possible, multiplied by each other gets you 16,000. That's how many pieces of resin you will need. One resin takes 8 minutes to regenerate. Multiply that number by 8 and we get 128,000 minutes required to get this achievement. But how many is that in hours? Well, we divide that by 60 and we get 2,114 hours when rounding up for simplicity's sake. For those of you that aren't baffled by how long that is, let me put that in perspective. That is 1/4 of a year worth of resin. And keep in mind, if you're doing condensed resin instead of normal resin, this is doubled. So it'll take you half of a year if you're doing it in the most efficient way possible, assuming you're condensing your resin. Now, we can also go even deeper because it's probably going to take you a lot longer than a half a year because this is not counting the resin you would need to spend on your artifacts, on your characters, on ascensions, and other methods of leveling and making units powerful like weapons and talents. Thus, if you manage to actually unlock a hero's journey as your name card, chances are you've either been playing the game for a really long time or you gunned it specifically for this rare name card. So if you see anybody with this, tip your hats off to them because they have been playing for a hot minute. Alright, let's talk about cosmetic items now. Who wants to talk about really rare wings? Now I'm sure some of you probably already have an idea of what the rarest wing is. You're probably thinking, oh, it's the Opportunic Melody wing set we got in first anniversary, in which case, you would be wrong. That is not the rarest item in Genshin, at least in terms of wings. Nope. As a matter of fact, the rarest item in Genshin is actually the KFC collaboration wings, which came out in Japan in a very interesting fashion. However, I don't really give a damn about Japan. We're specifically going to talk about in the States. Because at the end of the day, Japan had a very efficiently marketed strategy, and us in the United did not. Here's how it was given to all English-speaking players. From November 25th, 2021 to December 8th, 2021, these wings ran with a collaboration with Twitch. In order to get the wings, you had to first A, know the event was going on, which most people didn't know, and then B, you had to log into Twitch, find an affiliated streamer, donate them $5, in which case you would be emailed a code in your inbox, grab that code, take it to your inbox, import it into the game, and then finally, you would be given your wings. It is estimated that less than 100,000 of these wings were ever distributed, and then on top of that, a majority of players didn't even really know this event was going on. I was lucky enough to have been involved with Genshin's content creator program at the time, so they sent me an email informing me that, hey, yeah, this is going on, you might want to look into it, and that is the only reason why I was able to snag them for myself. To this day, when I bring those wings out in public, a majority of people just assume I went to some KFC out in the middle of Japan in order to get my code, which didn't really happen. But you know, who really cares about cosmetics at the end of the day? You know what we really care about? Characters. Think about it for a second. Who is the rarest character in Genshin Impact? You probably said something stupid, like Eula, or Ito, which is not the case. The rarest character in Genshin Impact is the only collaboration character in the game. Aloy. Now I wouldn't blame some of you for not knowing Aloy is in the game because believe it or not, if you didn't play back then, Aloy doesn't even really show up in the menus. If you didn't get Aloy back in her release, she's just straight up not in the game. Now how did you get Aloy, you may be wondering? Well, it's very simple. You just straight up got her in the mail, a free 5-star. What is she? She's a cryo bow user that sucks a whole lot of ass. You see, all of us talk about all the time about how Amber is the worst character in the game. She's not. It's actually Aloy. Aloy is awful. Nobody ever actually seriously uses Aloy, but hey, it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, she exists, and she is rare, which is the only reason why people would want to get her. She actually came out on the very first anniversary for Genshin Impact, during the exact same time, if you played on PS4, that Raiden released. So it was very possible to get Raiden Shogun and Aloy on the same day and just experience both metrics of power in less than an hour. It was great. If you want to know more about how Aloy plays, you might want to go ask somebody else, because me personally, I didn't waste my time building that shitty character, because as it turns out, Aloy is absolutely garbage. She has a cryo infusion on her skill that barely works 99% of the time because it has to proc 4 explosions, which just can't happen because of her ICD, and then on top of that, in order to make Aloy actually useful in any meaningful capacity, you need to kit her out with all of the best weapons and artifacts, and then to make it even more terrible, Aloy is the only character in the whole game without a single constellation on her rep sheet, meaning there's no way to artificially improve her scaling. What you get at C0 is what everybody else gets, and it is awful. Literally, the only thing Aloy has to her name is her rarity, and that is about it. Now, that's about 10 minutes of rare items, so what do you say we go over one last thing, and then we can move on with our lives, and y'all can go click on another video. The rarest artifact in Genshin Impact is actually one you probably wouldn't expect. No, it's not your 46 CV hat. Nobody gives a fuck about your 46 CV hat. It's actually an artifact that is so rare, I can't even provide proof to its existence because I don't have it and I can't find anybody online that does, but I do know it exists because I've seen it on other players' accounts while I do account reviews. By the way, we're going to be doing another account review here pretty soon, so hey, you know, you should subscribe and stick around. We'll do it live, but I'm getting off topic. The rarest artifact in Genshin is a 2-star Resolution of the Sojourn, I think I pronounced that wrong, Goblet and Feather. For those of you that have never heard of the Resolution set, all you need to know is that it's a 3 to 4 star set that can be farmed in most artifact domains. It does not exist, at least not canonically, in a 2-star form. The only reason why such a thing even exists to begin with is because a lot of players in Genshin Impact during the early days of Genshin received compensation for missing chests, in which case a few items were given to the main player base, and this item was one of them. As for why the records of it seemingly no longer exist, well, it's very simple. It was a 2-star artifact. Who's gonna keep it? And hell, it was very early on in Genshin's existence, so why would I keep my hands on this 2-star artifact that's useless when I can just farm more in the open world? How naive we all were. So basically what I'm saying is, if you still have this piece on your account to this day, you have a very, very, very rare item. Is it worth anything? No, it's not really worth anything, and most people don't even give a damn if you have it, but it is a very nice find if you do. Definitely something you can use to flex on your friends when they start showing off their super rare 5-star artifacts. With that last item being named, I don't really have anything else to talk about. So please allow me to take this time to thank my channel members. Darot Crystal, Cat Food Tastes Good, Demamatic, Valen, I don't even know anymore to be honest, Shrut Dark, and Sander. Thank you for supporting the channel, and thank you for supporting the trash tier content I create. As for the rest of you, please like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. Stay safe out there, and peace.